I received a nice comment asking me to react to the court scene in Season 5, Episode 4 of Better Call Saul. So we're gonna do that. For the record, before we begin, I've never seen Better Call Saul. I know it's a derivative of Breaking Bad, a show that I also haven't seen. Well, except for the last episode. And that's why I haven't seen Breaking Bad, is because I went to a friend's watch party one time, and the watch party was coincidentally for the final episode ever of Breaking Bad. So I know how it ends, but never watched the show at all. That's whatever. Let's get started.
Is the person who robbed you present in the court today?
Yes.
And could you point him out to the court, please?
There.
Let the record show that the witness has identified the defendant, Mr. Kherkher.
Okay, so obviously this is a criminal trial. This is the defendant, and this is Saul Goodman.
Thank you, Mr. Harkness.
Your witness, Mr. Goodman.
Thank you for coming in today, Mr. Harkness. I just want to clarify a few things from your testimony, if that's okay.
Okay.
So, you were working at the Sandia Mart the night of the 30th, is that correct?
Got in at noon, left at midnight.
That's a long day. Good for you. Nothing wrong with the heart.
This is a very realistic layout of what a courtroom looks like. The only thing I would criticize is there's almost certainly no way a lawyer is allowed to get this close to a witness, especially a witness he is cross-examining. Some courts allow you to walk about the well of the courtroom, but almost certainly no court allows you to approach the bench or stand right in front of the witness's face without asking special permission. Obviously, if you're handing the witness a piece of paper or something to look at, you have to approach, but you're not just going to ask questions right in their face. Like this. This doesn't happen.
Hard day's work. So you say, a man came in and he reached across the counter and, quote, he grabbed up the money from my register and run off.
Yeah.
And there was no one else in the store.
Not at that time, no.
And since the camera system wasn't working at the time, you're the only one who saw the perpetrator.
Okay, so maybe he's not as close as the first camera angle made it appear, but kudos to Saul Goodman. Oftentimes when you are examining a witness, whether it be on direct or cross-examination, if you want to make a point, you actually shouldn't be closed in on the witness themselves. They're not the most important people in the room. The jury is the most important group of people in the room. Your questions should be emphasized for the jury. You should be making eye contact with the jury. If you notice, despite the witness being right here, Saul Goodman has positioned himself so he's facing the jury. So when he is asking the witness a question, he's actually making eye contact with the members of the jury. This is an A+ move on Saul Goodman's part.
Yeah. So, this person came in and they bought something.
I think it was an Almond Joy.
They bought an Almond Joy, and when you rang them up...
Okay, okay, I take back what I said about, it wasn't the camera angle. He's too close.
That's when they snatched the cash from the register. Sounds like it happened pretty fast, but you say you got a good look at him, correct?
Yes.
You must drink stronger coffee than I do, because after 11 hours on the job, I can barely see straight. And it was dark out.
Oh, he's the only guy that came in that night that wasn't made up like a bat or a cat or whatever the hell those guys are. And he was right up in my face.
Okay, so Saul is clearly trying to show that the witness was tired and therefore couldn't make a proper identification, and he's doing it in a nice way. The most effective lawyers I've seen, bar none, are the lawyers who take the approach of killing them with kindness. Kill them with kindness. They're lawyers who are respectful, they present their facts, and they dismantle witnesses all the time. And this works for a couple reasons. First, if you treat a witness with respect and are kind to them, they'll probably get more comfortable with you and open up. That might not always be in the witness's best interest. Second, the jury is going to like you. All these movies show these hardcore lawyers being really mean and ugly and biting. That doesn't really work in the real world.
Right, and according to your testimony, you feel confident that you can identify this person. That's what you're saying.
I can. Absolutely. It's him. Your client.
Are you sure that's the person? There's no doubt in your mind. Take your time.
I don't need time. That's him.
Now, would you be surprised to learn, Mr. Harkness, that the person you just pointed to is not the defendant?
What?
My client is in the back of the courtroom. Mr. Sakey, would you please stand up?
Objection.
Now, the person you ID'd is named Hollis Early. He's a bartender down in Berlin. He has a very good alibi for the night.
Okay, where to even begin? There is so much wrong with this. First of all, the judge is going to be furious. Second of all, what Saul Goodman did was clearly effective. The witness identified the wrong person, but this antic clearly unduly prejudiced the jury. You can't be doing that. The two guys look fairly similar, and I get it. That's the point, right? But when you pull an antic like that, it definitely taints the jury because the jury's going to think, oh, well, he can't identify the right person. So while Saul's tactic was effective, this tactic almost certainly unduly prejudiced the jury. This was definitely not allowed. Saul was probably going to be held in contempt, and there's probably going to be a mistrial because all of these members of the jury are probably tainted because now they know this witness can't identify the right person. The identification method is skewed because of Saul's antics.
He has a very good alibi for the night in question.
Your Honor, objection.
Oh, Mr. Goodman, really?
You didn't recognize him either, Your Honor.
All right, settle down, everybody. Settle.
I don't think that fact actually helped Saul Goodman. It would be a more effective tool if there were two completely different looking people. But if you have a doppelganger, pretty much, you see how that doesn't really work? Am I making sense? Regardless, even if it was a doppelganger or not a doppelganger or whatever, Saul Goodman's definitely gonna be thrown in contempt. This is gonna be a mistrial if this was real. And they're gonna try the case again. And one more thing before we go. That's a very aggressive blue shirt that Saul is wearing. All right, that's it for today's video. Bye.
He's a catastrophic injury attorney who accidentally became a YouTuber. Attorney Tom.
Maybe put like when I say like lawyers being mean, maybe put like a generic clip from something where a lawyer's just like unnecessarily mean.